Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and I am pissed off, guys. You want to know why? Listen, we recently got news that world-renowned piece of human garbage, Jeffrey Epstein, who is involved in trafficking children, was aided and abetted in a way by the media. Project Veritas recently came out with this video.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
So essentially the story was squashed. There's a lot to this story that we need to break down. But first of all, of course, Jeffrey Epstein was the pedophile, billionaire, hedge fund manager, possibly agent that blackmailed countless politicians and celebrities. I remember years ago when we were reporting on this before almost anyone else, talking about how there was evidence that possibly there was even video of Bill Clinton, who wrote on the Lolita Express pedophile plane countless times ditching Secret Service, that there was video of him molesting children on the airplane. And of course it makes sense. You know, you can control someone pretty well if you got enough blackmail on them. And when you're talking about the President of the United States or all these celebrities that have these issues and causes and blah, 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 talking as if they are morally, better than everyone else, it's good to have information on them, isn't it? What we've seen in recent days is exactly the evidence of why this monopoly on information that's been shoved down our throats is actually an evil, elitist piece of garbage protecting pedophiles around the world. We've all seen the agenda play out. We've all seen how they try to, prop up this movement of pedophilia. We've seen it in a lot of cases. For example, YouTube taking down Dan Dix of Press for Truth's video on pedosexuals, as they call it, and calling out how disgusting the encouragement to accept pedophilia has been over the last years, as there's some kind of cultural shift in a way to accept it. So let me get this straight for a second. You go back and look at the BBC. The BBC covered up for Jimmy Savile for years, decades. They knew he was one of the most prolific child rapists ever. He was known to have molested almost more children than anyone else. He was protected by the BBC, who stands on their moral high horse on a regular basis, talking and lecturing and speaking down to the populace. They would not allow one of their top stars to be exposed until he died. So many people tried to come out. So many people were paid off. Top of the pops, good old Jimmy Savile coming to you with the latest rock band and dressed like an idiot. Look, he molested countless children, and the BBC covered it up, and the BBC is known to kind of link hand in hand with the royal family, which seems to have played into this anchor from ABC, this anchor's statement on Hot Mic, where she said that the royal family was basically in the way. I mean, they wanted to interview Will and Kate instead of, break a story on one of the most notorious pedophiles of all time, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire hedge fund manager, likely gathered countless evidence on politicians over time. And, of course, Acosta, who stepped down from the Trump administration recently, claimed when he was questioned by the Trump transition team that the reason he gave the sweetheart plea deal to Jeffrey Epstein was because he was told to stand down by the government because the government claimed that he was an agent. Makes sense to me. Now, I want to make this clear. Talking about this issue does not make you popular. Maybe to most sane people, most of you watching this, but it doesn't make you popular. YouTube takes down channels for even talking about this. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about the powers that be that are controlling these entities? Controlling the mainstream media, pushing the mainstream media videos to the top while shadow banning the rest of us for calling out evil in its face. Our friend Luke Rudowski recently went to Epstein Island, ambushed the island, got video footage from the island on We Are Change, and they shadow banned the hell out of the video. It was one of the top stories of the day, all over mainstream media, but his actual video, nope, shadow banned. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. It's probably not the end. And, you know, YouTube has a gall to use children as a way to say, videos are inappropriate on YouTube, so we're taking away ad revenue from any channel that caters to children in any way. That means like toy reviews, stuff like that. It's just an excuse so they can come after all of us. But let me get down to a more important point. So Epstein was heard screeching in his cell the night that he was apparently killed. Again, Epstein didn't kill himself. Big hashtag. And Epstein cover-up. Big hashtags going all around the world. Everyone knows about it. The mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it, but it's happening. And it's all over the place, and it's a trend that cannot be stopped. There's all this evidence that he was indeed murdered because he was about to testify against major elites. Now, could he have killed himself? Well, I think there's a 0% chance. But with that said, technically speaking, yeah, if you're in that situation, you might do that. But hey, if he's an agent, he shouldn't worry about that. So he should be able to just come out against all this stuff. Well, actually, no, he couldn't come out against that stuff because he'd be killed. Oh, wait, that's what happened. He was about to testify. Everyone in the world, including us, were making jokes like, oh, well, how long until Epstein, quote unquote, kills himself with 2 gunshot wounds to the back of the head? Epstein was obviously in danger as soon as he was arrested. And, you know, all of us could predict that he was going to quote unquote kill himself, a 6-foot tall man from like a 4 or 5 foot tall bunk bed. Yeah, okay, breaking a bone in his neck that can only usually be broken if it's by strangulation. The recent autopsy done on Epstein, commissioned by his family, I think his name is Dr. Michael Baden, concluded that it looks like it was homicide. It was obvious that it was homicide. Anyway, again, getting down to the more important point. The media will talk about Brett Kavanaugh, maybe rightly so, maybe not so much, without substantiations. But when you have 100% evidence of Jeffrey Epstein molesting children, they'll say we don't have enough evidence. And the royal family and, you know, other people that we might get mad at us, like Bill Clinton or something, they'll cover that up. Also, look at the fact that, like I mentioned, Jimmy Savile, they'll cover that up for years, decades, as hundreds of children get raped. Then they come out as a moral high ground for society. But, you know, on top of all that, who's currently in prison right now? Julian Assange. He spreads information that was leaked to him, like a journalist does, that proves that men, women, and yes, children were murdered by the U.S. military. And that's considered threatening. No, it's only threatening to the establishment to expose murder. Imagine having such a blind belief in government that you're okay with murder as long as it doesn't make government look bad. Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning are both in prison for doing what journalists and decent human beings do. Expose evil where they see it. Look evil in the face. And reject the paranoia and the fear that holds them back from bettering humanity. Edward Snowden, essentially in refuge. The U.S. likes to look down on other countries, like Turkey for imprisoning and killing journalists, like Russia, like China. Maybe some of those countries are worse than the U.S. at it, or maybe the U.S. is just better at hiding it or using stupid laws to make it look like it's justified. To expose the rape of children, not okay. To expose the murder of men, women, and children, not okay. But no, these are the people that all of us have to listen to, and we're wrong for trying to expose it. We need to be stopped. We're hate speech, we're fake news, etc. for calling it out. Imagine what kind of backwards world we live in, where that's okay, where that's just thought of as, what are we going to do? Well, what are we going to do? I keep hearing this. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? All of us could be outraged by it. We're mad. We're sitting here going, I can't believe this. I'm mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore, right? Well, what the are we doing? What are we doing about it? We just sit here and say, wow, the world's getting crazier and crazier around us. What are we doing about it? Is this going to pass by and we're just going to go, yeah, it's crazy how corrupt the government is and corrupt the media is? So, what the are we doing about it? I'm sick of seeing this play out over and over again, almost like we're getting conditioned to allow more and more and more to get by and just go every time like, oh man, this is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. You know what's crazier? Is a civilization that sits back and does nothing while it happens. Independent media is getting completely destroyed and ripped off the internet and just deleted like in modern day book burning. Oh, it's hate speech. It's mean. It's offensive. But suddenly it's not offensive to cover up child rape and child murder. What kind of world do we live in? This world. And what are we going to do about it? You have all of these elitists, Prince Andrew, Dershowitz, you got Woody Allen, you got Bill Clinton, possibly even Trump. I don't know. We all have to see the evidence. It's not an ideological issue. It's an issue of saving children from being used by sick, disgusting pedophiles. All the while, the channels that try to tell you about it are getting taken down. Mainstream media goes to the top of the news feeds, the top of the search results, even if they have a tenth of the viewership. I think that should tell you all you need to know about the world we live in. Using children to be able to grow the power construct that these elites run. Using the media to confuse people, to divide people, to distract people like bread and circuses. Watching as these pedophiles go decades without ever having a problem, and when it becomes too much, they just kill them with all the information that they know. People come out against it, they go to jail, and they justify it as terrorism. I think it's what we're seeing today is more terrorism than anything from the government and the media. Terrorism is defined as using fear to enforce your ideological belief systems. Fear might be murder. Fear might be the fear of not making any money or self-censorship. And morally, as a people, we are getting stupider and weaker and more dependent. What's happened to us? Why do we allow this to happen? Why are we sitting here doing nothing about it? Does anyone remember the Franklin cover-up? Does anyone remember Jimmy Savile? Does anyone remember what just happened with Kevin Spacey a couple years ago? All these people connected, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, all the rape victims, Juanita Broderick, who I interviewed. innocence is being destroyed. And we just go, that's not good. And I'm honestly, I'm just as confused as a lot of you. Where do we go from here? Why are we sitting here and allowing this stuff to take place? We have these bombshell leaks coming out. Imagine what still is to be leaked. Imagine what's still happening. And why do these elites use children in the way that they do? And who is truly in charge of brushing through these YouTube videos and deciding that these videos can't exist on the internet, calling out pedophiles? Channels just get taken down for this. Hell, this video is probably going to be deleted. Isn't this a good time to question your moral courage a little bit? I've come to the conclusion that 99% of people just don't give a shit about any of this stuff. I know many of you watching do, but the majority of humanity doesn't give a shit. They'd rather be comfortable in their slumber. It's time to change that. Sooner than later. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change. Like what you see here at Wham, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on float.app. That's flote.app. at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Float.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Float and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.